Is there anything worse as a movie fan when you go into a film looking so forward to it and come out the other end so disappointed? Well, that happens quite a lot, doesn't it? Here's my top 5 most disappointing movies of 2020. What is up everyone, Movie Wayne back again with another video, and this is my top 5 most disappointing movies of the year. Yeah, there's quite a few films I was looking forward to this year that did underwhelm me, and I've just picked 5 out here. It's just a fun little video, nothing too serious, not the most serious list in the world. But don't forget to check out my top 10 best movies of the year, my top 5 worst, and my top 5 most surprising. But here, top 5 most disappointing movies of the year. Let's do this. Number 5 is going to be The Craft Legacy. Now bear in mind, these aren't the worst movies I've seen or anything like that. I don't think any of these appeared on my top 5 worst movies of the year list. They just underwhelmed me, and The Craft Legacy was one of them. I mean, I did have fun with it in parts, but I think it's mainly due to nostalgia of loving the first one so much that they just kind of ruined it here. Kaylee Spaney was really good in this film. She was the best thing about it. But this story, it just tries to replicate that first film so much and does everything in a half as good a way. There's bad CGI for the spells and stuff. The characters in the first movie, if you remember, were so good. I mean, every one of them had a good story behind them. But in this, there's only really Kaylee Spaney's character who we learn about. The other 3 girls, we know nothing about them. And that was a big disappointment for the film for me. It doesn't know if it's a remake, it doesn't know if it's a sequel. I don't know what the hell it was, but that last scene, really, did you have to involve that? I mean, if you're going to bring that character into it, you should have done it way earlier and let you know what your movie wants to be, whether it's a sequel or a reboot. But overall, not too bad, just very, very underwhelming, because I love the first film and there's a couple of other films on this list like that, so... Yeah. Number 5 is The Craft Legacy. Number 4 is going to be The Secret Garden. Now this is kind of like The Craft, where I hold a lot of nostalgia for the original, and this was just not as good in every way. I mean, the main thing about this for me was how boring it was. I mean, there's so many good moments in the first movie. Mrs. Medlock was such a good character. Here, she's hardly used. Julie Walters must have filmed her scenes in like a weekend. Same with Colin Firth. You know, they're hardly in the movie, but they're advertised all over the posters. Nothing really happens. There's nothing great about the garden. It doesn't seem mystical enough or anything like that. It's just these kids running around a garden that they found, and that's it. That's the whole movie. The dog in this was probably the best character. I mean, I enjoyed it every time the dog was on screen, but yeah, not a good movie at all in my opinion. Pretty boring. Good job I did see more worst movies than this over the year, because it didn't make my worst movies of the year list. But I don't think I'll be watching this again, and if I do, it'll definitely be the original I'll go to. So number 4 is The Secret Garden. Number 3 is The New Mutants. Now this probably had the most potential on this list to be such a good film. When they advertised it, it was all taking place in like a mental institution or a hospital to help these 5 characters and overcome their like mutant urges, and it looked like a horror movie, you know, like a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. I just got so many vibes off that. That's one of my favourite horror films of all time, and it was just pretty boring. Again, like The Secret Garden, I don't think much happened in the movie. There's 5 characters in the whole film, and it's only really Anna Taylor-Joy who stood out to me. She was the only character I liked in this film, who had a bit of personality towards herself. The CGI was so bad, especially at the end. These scary moments that are built up for about an hour in the film, when they happen, they were laughable. The CGI on screen, a wasted opportunity. I feel like the studio probably intervened to tone this down a little bit. If this was full rated 18 or rated R, it would have been so much better and so much more successful, I feel. But there you go. The New Mutants, number 3. Not the greatest film. Number 2 is going to be Wonder Woman 1984, and I was expecting big things from this because Patty Jenkins made such a good original film there with Wonder Woman. I was so surprised by that, so I was hoping for more here, and I was quite disappointed. I mean, I enjoyed some of this movie. I mean, I don't think it was bad. I think I give it a 6 out of 10 on my review. But there's so many gaping flaws with this film. I mean, the whole Chris Pine thing was stupid. Didn't make sense. It's a simple premise that complicates itself as the film goes on when it doesn't have to. Kristen Wiig's character was one of my favourite things about it, and I wish they would have just focused more on her instead of bringing Max Lord into it. The runtime is just way too long. You feel it. I mean, this could have been trimmed easily by 30 or 40 minutes easily. I don't mind long films, but when you feel it, you feel it. Just wasn't really for me, this movie. 1984 is not used at all, really. I mean, I forgot it was the 80s after about 20 minutes. But like I said, I did have a bit of a good time with it, but overall, quite disappointing and underwhelming. The original is by far the better film. So, number 2 is Wonder Woman, 1984. Number 1, though, is going to be The Witches now. The original is one of my favourite films ever. I mean, I used to watch it constantly as a kid. I watched it a few weeks ago and I still love it. And this, like The Secret Garden and The Craft Legacy, just does everything half as good. It's the same film but worse. I mean, why would you do that? You should improve on it. If you're gonna do it like the same story and stuff, you should improve on what the original did if you can. The CGI here is so bad. You know, the witches here aren't approachable. Like in the first film, they are women that you'd probably go up to and befriend. Here, they're just stupid. They don't even talk properly. They've got like scratchy voices and they sound ridiculous. It's just, I didn't like the ending. I mean, I know this is the original Roald Dahl ending. It didn't sit right with me at all. The auditorium scene, which is very famous in that original film, was very forgettable here. It seemed like it just flew by and I hardly remember it. Just not a good movie in my opinion. I had a lot of problems with this film, but I do go into more detail in my review. I'll leave the reviews for all these films down below, but The Witches, very, very poor movie in my opinion. Had fun with it in parts, but overall, not great. Number 1 is The Witches. Okay guys, there's my top 5 disappointing films of the year. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the most surprising, the top 10 best, the top 5 worst, and I've got a top 20 first time watchers of 2020 coming as well. Can't wait to make that video. I mean, they're going to be movies that were made in 2019 or older, but I watched in 2020. I'm really looking forward to doing that one. So thanks so much guys. If you want to comment about any of these films, leave it down below. I'll reply to every single one of you, I promise, and my movie reviews for these films will be down below as well. Take it all easy guys. See you all next video.